Hey, what's up YouTube? So today we're going to be taking a look at an SDL3 Bazel example that I've been putting together over the past couple of nights. So basically what this is so SDL3, this is a graphical programming library that's typically used with C and C++, but has language bindings for a bunch of other bindings. But they recently just released SDL3. Sorry, I'm kind of navigating all over the place here. Yeah, so they recently released SDL3. Doesn't have as many language bindings, but it's still a C library, so it like works well with C++. So they just released SDL3 officially. The release version is 3.2, but it's actually the 3.0 release because like the 3.0 was like pre-release and then 3.1 was like I'm not sure, but this is the official release, and so you can also just you don't have to use this repo. You can just like use CMake and whatever if you want. But anyway, so what we have here is I just wanted to kind of like see if it was possible or simple to put together an SDL3 repo that's built with Bazel. And so that's what I did here. And it uses Bazel 8 too, which means that we can use modules. If you're not familiar with Bazel, it's like a build system abstraction. It is a build system, but like it can also like use other build systems. And so more or less, modules is how it handles like external packages. And so previously, it was a little messy. And it's still a little bit messy for things that are not like fully baselized, but for everything else, like you can still kind of use the old way. But so anyway, if you want to like just get started with this, then you can just clone the repo, preferably like rename it something else, and then like change the git remote and everything. But you can clone the repo and then just run Bazel run SDL3 test, which we can. I have the repo over here because I was working on it. And if we do that, then it should be mostly built already. Okay, this might take some time, but in the meantime, what we can do is just kind of take a look. So also, if you do use this, I recommend using Basilisk as kind of like the Bazel version manager. But anyway, so we have a couple of primary files in here. So module Bazel is kind of like this is where you define all of your external dependencies. And so here we obviously need to get SDL, so that's what we do with this one. You can read more about this in the Bazel documentation. And then this is this is a dependency that packages a bunch of like build tools together, including CMake, which is what we need for SDL. And so this exists in the Bazel Central Registry, which is kind of like the Bazel. It's kind of like NPM, but for Bazel. And so you can just declare it like this. So then with that, so inside of the SDL HTTP archive, we have to tell it where we want to give the instructions for how to build this archive. And so that's in third-party build, which is over here. And so as part of this, we just say like we want to use CMake. This is just kind of like some stuff. And then in the CMake here, we tell it that we want to call this artifact SDL3. We tell it that we want to use the sources, we want to use this file group. And then we give it some stuff. I didn't build it with OSX, but it should work for OSX just out of the box. And then basically, the other important thing is that you have the shared you have the appropriate out shared libs. I don't know if the Windows one works, but the Linux one works, and then the Darwin one should work because of where I got it from. Yeah, so that's that. And then the top level build file, right. So Bazel uses build files to kind of like say what things you want to actually produce as artifacts from your project. And so the top level build file is like where you put the thing that you, or like the stuff that you want this project to build like at the top level. And so here we just say that we want to build this. We want to build a binary with some C compiler like stuff, and we're going to call it. We're going to call this artifact SDL3 test, and that'll be an executable binary. We want to use main.cpp, which we'll look at in a second. And we also want to say that we're going to use the SDL3 dependency. This specifically is like, so this is basically saying like something within my external dependencies. And then from the dependency called com GitHub SDL, we want to get the SDL3 artifact from that. And so that resolves kind of like the dependency is defined here. And then in the build file, that's where we specify that we have something called SDL3 out of this. And so that's where that kind of comes from. And then, so then in the main.cpp, this is pretty much a do nothing program. Like again, you can see it here. It just makes a blank window. But it does the initialization and all that. But something else that's kind of nice is that it uses the new SDL callback system, which you can read more about it in here. But basically, this lets it like handle all of the platform specific code without like having to worry about it yourself. And it also allows you to, where does it say? This is like kind of required if you wanted to build this for like injecting it into a web page, for example, with mscriptn. And so basically this is like I don't have the build working for like mscriptn stuff because I haven't tried, but it should theoretically work for mscriptn builds too. So anyway, so that's what we have here, and you can see that there was a couple of logs from here, but yeah, basically, we have this window that is, built with Bazel, and yeah, so that's really all there is. I'm gonna have links to the repo and like some other stuff in the description, but yeah, so that's all we got, and hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.